Hey guys, it's Super here. So Adventurous Journey has returned, and the 4 options we have this time are Oliver, Freud, Chelsea, and Jocelyn. So of course you have to spend money to obtain these characters, but there are characters that you can obtain for free, which you can see for each one you click individually. So the free-to-play options are Narc, Zora, Popper, and Niloa. So let's talk about the main options and then we'll talk about the free-to-play ones after. So amongst all these options, there really isn't really any bad choice, but I would say the worst choice would probably be Freud. Freud is definitely the weakest among them. He's a poison support, and he's still very solid, but I don't believe he's used as much now, especially with the release of heroes like Kalana. So we can take a quick look over here. So you can see that some teams now are not using Freud. The first guy, weak over here, still uses Freud, but I think for the most part, there are quite a number of teams now which still opt not to use him and are doing perfectly fine, right? So we have Aristeo here who's at 684, no Freud, using Kalana instead, no Freud here. So it kind of just seems to depend roughly whether you want to use him or not. There may be some instances where he's useful, clearly seen since Week is using him at the top here, but definitely not a necessity anymore at this point in the game. And especially compared to some of the newer releases that we've had, he's definitely on the weaker side compared to other characters now. So I would say he's probably the lowest priority for you to obtain. And then next we have Chelsea. So Chelsea is a burn damage dealer and previously the strongest burn damage dealer. But today, in the same day that we've gotten this Adventurous Journey event, we do have McCarthy over here who's being introduced. And while he isn't or hasn't been proven or tested yet, I think there's almost a guaranteed chance that he's going to be performing better than Chelsea for burn damage. So if you do end up getting McCarthy, then Chelsea very likely isn't going to be needed as much, although I think there will be a good chance that they'll be used in the same team together. And now for the best 2 options, and by best I would just mean like in terms of replaceability, so at least these 2 are like the more recent characters, so there's less likely to be a newer character which power spikes them and makes them less relevant. First we have Oliver, so Oliver's a bleed support and without a doubt definitely still used very much to this day. So he himself replaced Chardonnel when Oliver released, and Oliver basically does everything Chardonnel did and more. So he does have all his shield related effects, but he also does give mastery up to, which Chardonnel did not do in his kit. And of course, beyond that, similar to Chardonnel, he gives effects such as speed up and a shield. And he also gives stealth as well, which I believe is useful for some content which may require it. So Oliver is definitely very good as a bleed support. He is somewhat exclusive tree reliant, as you can see over here, because he needs the exclusive tree to get speed up to and mastery up to. And he is a bit tricky to build, so for newer players it may be harder to use him. But even at lower exclusives, if you don't have Chardonnel, he is still a very solid option, but definitely needs exclusive tree when you can get it. And lastly, amongst the main options, we have Jocelyn. So Jocelyn, even though it says she's a attack class over here, she definitely functions more as a support. So she's here to provide speed up to and other buffs for your team, so you can see attack up to, resolute 2, and she also grants speed up 2 in one of her skills, so yeah, speed up 2 over here. And she's an extremely strong direct damage support. She kind of replaced Blaze in PvE content for basically everywhere except for Broken Well, I believe, in Broken Land, the ultimate well. For PvP she's definitely less used. Blaze still seems to be more relevant than her, but Jocelyn definitely is extremely strong, especially if you have a character like Marie or Felicia would work well with her as well. So if you don't have Marie or Felicia, Jocelyn is definitely lower in priority. But if you do have, the core of Apsara, Marie, Nicolith, and you're lacking Jocelyn or Blaze, you definitely want to get Jocelyn from this Adventurous Journey if you're willing to spend. So once again, Jocelyn isn't actually a damage dealer, which is why you want to kind of build her with just as much speed as you can and some effect hit as well. So yeah, very, very, very strong character if you do have the correct direct damage dealers to use alongside her. So now maybe this part will apply more to most of you guys, and we'll talk about the free-to-play options now. So the ones which are only really worth considering, I would say, are Narc and Popper over here. Everything else really isn't that great. Niloa isn't that great. Zora isn't that great. And honestly, even between Popper and Narc now, neither of them are extremely amazing, but at least they are usable. So for Narc, we can take a look what he does here. He's a shielder and he kind of does a lot of different things all at once in his kit, but he's not exceptional at any of them. So I don't really want to go through each of his skills individually, but he basically just summons or functions as a bleed support, and he's overall I would say decent. You can see he gives some nice buffs like bleed up 2, although this is covered by heroes like Morikis, who people still use to this day, right? So we have Morikis over here, good damage dealer. There's lots of different effects on his exclusives over here based on her effect hit, and also gives effect up 2, does some stuns and so on. So overall, a very strong character. And as you have a character like Morikis and you can just use some regular shielder, then Narc really isn't really that useful. And for Popper used to be extremely strong for PvP content, but recently less so with all the new introductions starting from Marie, and now he really isn't used that much at all. But I do think that he could be used in the early year to mid-game stages for newer players. The only issue I would say with that is that he does require his exclusive tree, which will be very useful. Well, no, he doesn't really require it, but it is very beneficial alongside all his other exclusives, of course. And you do need to build him with some extremely fast speed. I think in the past, people using Popper teams had like 3.2k, 3.3k speed. Basically, you just want him to be as fast as possible. And nowadays, first of all, getting high speeds on that high of a speed is really difficult for newer players. And second of all, he simply isn't used that much or good enough, in my opinion, nowadays for you to really want to consider investing your eyes and your best gears onto him. So really not that great nowadays when we have much better options. So if you're a free-to-play player, I would say what you pick doesn't really matter. The rewards you get as a free-to-play player is similar across the board for everything. And personally, I think I will just be picking Oliver over here. Not really for any reason in particular, because I don't plan on spending on this event. But I guess if I do decide that I want to spend in the end, then Oliver would be the hero I want. So it's just kind of just in case I decide to spend, but probably I won't. So you can see I'll click on Oliver here, and the way this works is every day you can do these daily quests, as you can see here, and every day you can obtain 2 of these pathfinding compasses. So as a free-to-play player, this event, since this event lasts for 14 days, you hit up to stage 28, which gives you some decent rewards overall. Some echo runes, coins, epics, skill scrolls, excellent summons, and so on. As well as the first tier legendary hero, of course. Now, if you're a spender, you want to get the supply card over here. You can see it gives you an additional 3 of the compasses every day, and it will give you an additional 42 of these compasses. So that means that by the end of the event, you will be able to get the legendary hero of choice. I think in the past, you had to get this supply card on day 1. If not, you will not be able to complete the event, and you will instead have to spend on additional of these pathfinding compasses. So if you plan to spend, I do recommend that you do it on day 1. I'm not sure if they have changed the event since, but of course you shouldn't take the risk. But as far as I'm aware, in the past at least, they would not retroactively give you the pathfinding compasses that you're missing out if you buy this supply card late. So just something to take note if you decide to spend on this event. And if you're a spender, you will get a lot more goodies, of course. You can see that you get, I believe it's 2 of these equipment selection chests, which gives not the most amazing set. So the main one you would consider is penetration set and feather set. But besides that, you do get some advanced energy hourglasses, you get a mythic scale, you get a A-tier mythic blessing of the character that you've chosen. So Oliver is a bleed character, so you can see we get a bleed damage bonus. This is probably the best thing you can get amongst everything here besides the hero. And of course, yeah, you get the hero itself. So whether this event is worth it, if you really need the character, this actually is one of the better events to spend on value-wise. But otherwise, it's still a really solid event for free-to-play players, and that's what I'll be doing. This time, in this iteration of the event, I'll just be clearing up to stage 28 without spending and just benefiting from the rewards. So yeah, just make sure you guys complete your daily quests every day and enjoy the rewards from there. And that's all we have for today. I'll see you guys next time.